Hey guys, we're about ready to send out our first email with all of the rated books ratings coming out. So I think we have close to 20, but we're going to be putting out the final ones, so the 10. And just so you know the difference in what we're putting out, you'll see here that it has pending final rating. So if it has pending final rating, it means that we've just created the report and someone hasn't read it in full. If it doesn't have this, it means someone has read it in full. And so if you want to help change all of our pending final ratings into reading in full, please put your name in the comments or email, direct message me or email maryinthelibraryusa@gmail.com. Say, hey, I'd like to listen to this book and let you know if the rating is accurate. One of the things that we have added to our reports. So you'll notice it has the same format as Book Looks. So we have, the page numbers, the excerpts. We also have the word count. But another thing we have is a mitigating factor. So if there's a book that has, it's like it has underage drinking, blah, 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 but then the character makes a statement, or the author wrote it with a purpose of that, we include the mitigating factor in there. So if you're a reader and you say, hey, we should add a mitigating factor in here so people know that this isn't promoting this, then we still want to include it so parents know, because they know their kids best. And so we're going to do that. Another thing that we changed is, you'll notice in our rating guide, it looks a little bit different than Book Looks. And we put in here 1, 2, or 3. Sometimes it was hate was an issue that parents would want to know about. Now, this hate originally was intended for like justification of hate, because all good stories, they have a villain and there's usually hate and evil and they're overcoming it. And even Snow White, the queen, hated her. And so it's not like trying to avoid hate, because what story would you have? But the justification of hate that exists in books like all policemen are bad or all white people are bad, but it's like the justification of hate. And so we kind of clarified that in our ratings right here. So mild, infrequent justification of hate. So it's kind of an explaining of why you should hate somebody. And I haven't read Mein Kampf, but I would expect that that is the extreme justification of hate. And so a note about, we're trying to explain this. Okay, I'm so long-winded. So anyway, same rating system. That's the only thing that's changed besides the age guidelines and just the names of them. It's still 0 through 5, but we need your help on this. We actually have 3 PhDs, people with a degree in child psychology, child development, who are helping us look at these ratings and saying, yes, this is. So anytime we get it, we send it over to them. As soon as it's passed and been read in full, we give them it and say, do you think that these ratings are justified based on this scale that we have right here? And this is the explanation of it. So we have a book with that could either be a 2 or a 3. I dropped it. And so we would like your help figuring this out. And I think it will help you understand the rating system as well and the purpose for it. So this is a 2. It has no warning thing right here, and this is a 3. And I'm going to actually read to you the excerpts and the justification. So it's going to get long. Before I launch into that and lose you, the other thing that we've added into here is not only the profanity word count, and we kind of got a little more clarification on that. So we call it profanity and derogatory or sexual terms. And because, some of these words aren't necessary, they're not bad, they're biologically accurate, but how many times do they say clit or penis or, so the parent can be like, okay, let's have an awareness so they can guide their child in their readiness. And so we have included that in there. And the other one that's new is sacrilegious and other offensive language usage. So that's like taking the Lord's name in vain and and other things that people, that families would want, you know, hey, let's not say that around my kindergartner because we're teaching them to, you know, reverence the Lord. And so you would want to know that. And if your elementary school student is whatever. So we're just trying to respect what parents want to know as they're going through these books. And so we have included that. That's a little bit new. Okay, so now it is time to rate the book Lush. And we have a 3 and a 2. And we had one reader give it a 2. We had 2 readers give it a 3. And this was, and even the reader who gave it a 2 was like, I'm in between and I don't know what to do. The purpose of the ratings is so that parents can look at it and say, oh, let me go look at this and see how it will be for my kid. And so, and my 13-year-old's upstairs, so I'm downstairs in the in the bedroom because I know I was going to read this, and he's pretty innocent. So, in this book, the character is sexually assaulted. There is underage drinking, little profanity, child abuse, and the dad is an alcoholic. The main character is also bullied and harassed by her peers. I'm torn between the book rating as a 2 and a 3 because the multiple times the main character gets sexually assaulted as a 13-year-old. As adults, we want to shield our children from things we feel can be harmful to them. This book gives the experience of a young child growing up with a dad, abused by the father and peers, and dangers of sexual abuse. Even though we want to deny it, that it happens, we can't. Things are happening much more differently than when we grew up. Young kids are exposed to things at a much younger age today. Based on the rating, this book should be a 2 out of 5. And so if you look at the rating, and I'm going to put the report on it so you can actually read the excerpts in here. So anyway, this 13-year-old girl is on the bed and he's taking her underwear off, and she says, I'm a kid, I think she's drunk. And he's like, what? And he's swearing and calling her names. And then the worst thing happens, he leaves. And so, you know, that gives kids a chance to think about, oh, is that the worst thing that happens? You know, for me, I would want this to be not something I willingly give my kid, a 13-year-old, without saying, hey, let's talk about this. What does she mean by that? Or guiding them through it. So that's what we mean by young adult restricted, meaning, in my opinion, it's like if you really want your kid to read it with them. Help them digest some of these really difficult topics. And so youth advisory may not be appropriate for children under 3. That's what a 2 is. So it's definitely a 2. But maybe there's a 15-year-old. I don't know. So anyway, please leave your opinion on what you think this should be. And if you want to help us read books, we would love it. And we're a group of parents from across the country who have just gotten together because either we're avid readers or our kids are. And we love books and we want it to be a good experience for them. And that if there are things in there that deserve a trigger warning or a content warning, that you can have that and you can decide ahead of time. And that's our goal. So take a look at the report. Let me know what you think. And thank you for fighting to protect the innocence of kids and the rights of parents to guide their children and help them through this dastardly experience of, you know, frightening violence and sexually explicit activities and content and everything. And we have to work hard as a nation, as a population, to protect the young, to protect the innocent, and ultimately to protect the fabric of our civilization.